All right, guys. Hey, it's Sam here, middle of the day, October 6th. Yeah, I thought we'd take a look at some of the cryptocurrencies we've been focused on all week, maybe get a little update on how things look going into the weekend, and see if there's anything we can learn. So, of course, we'll start here with Bitcoin. This has been our reference chart here. This is the 4-hour on Bitstamp. And as is often the case, the market's not going to make it easy on you. So we have, this is what happens as an Elliott trader. We have two possibilities here, both with equally valid potential outcomes. So it becomes a matter of clue detection and, sort of fine tuning best we can as to what we're seeing to try and identify how the market's moving, and if we can, put ourselves in a position to take advantage of our analysis. So if we look here, we've talked about this a couple of times. The market has just been perfectly technical here. It's come down in this nice three-wave structure to what we are currently considering an A wave, gone up here, and if we're looking on the 4-hour. This appears to be a three-wave B coming in. Now it's a little bit deeper, which is not uncommon for a B wave. We've gone just beyond the 786, and potentially this just plays exactly as we have it scripted here. Here comes the B, the push for new highs. That push fails, and then we start unraveling, coming down in a 5-wave sequence, either impulsive or diagonal. That would bring this count, put it back down here where we have a potential rebuy down here if we're going to get an ABC. If it's corrective, doesn't mean we can't trade it to the long side. We just have to do it at the right place. So if indeed we've got the A in and now the B is in, we should expect to see some sort of 5-wave sequence coming down. Well, right now we gotta consider the alternate count, because if we go down to a smaller time frame, and here now I'm over on Kraken where we've been focusing on the alternate count, we got to look at this and say, well, let's see. So I've got the start of this wave structure here on this swing low. Whether it was an ABC or a failed fifth, the double bottom down here. It's just the spot where we can see that this impulsive structure starts, and it subdivides, with absolute Elliott perfection. Now looking here, so here on the 1-hour we see the ABC. I'll take the pitchfork off just so you can see a little bit better. So here's our 3-wave A as we have it labeled currently. What we're looking for, if this is indeed a B wave, we're looking for subdivision here that would give us a clear, clean 3-wave pattern going into that B wave. And that's not really what we're getting. It is leaning more impulsive, and if that is the case, you can, if I take it down even to a smaller, if I go down to a 15-minute, which sometimes you have to do, we can look at this and say, well, this looks much less like a B wave, excuse me, and much more like an impulsive. I mean, it's maybe you're stretching a little bit here to call that a 2, but this is certainly impulsive 3, right? I mean, technically, it qualifies for a 2 because we don't get a new low. Then we get this, impulsive behavior, a correction here. So potentially that's your 3. We get an A, B, C for a 4. And now we've come, here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, double top 5. So that is starting to look much more like we've got to now consider our alternate count. And let me blow this back up so we can look at that in context. If I go back to the hourly, the alternate count considers the ABC here to be a 1, 2. So here's the large alternate count. Here's the 1. I've got it in gold. So I'll put the wave on so you can see it. Okay, so this would be our, get it there. Okay, so here's our 1, 2, 3, A, B, C into this now R4, which happens to line up perfectly with the 3-8 2. So from an Elliott perspective, that's a textbook 4. It's just absolutely perfect. And as we've watched this unfold, it's been just incredibly technical, just absolute perfect Elliott wave trading, as you'd expect in a coin with this much activity, this much volume, this many people watching it. So the crowd dynamics are playing out perfectly here. So if that's the case, then we have an alternate count which puts our fifth wave, potentially way up here, challenging the old new highs at 5,000 and beyond. That's a contender. And it remains to be seen, where we go. There's the fib target right there, which would be roughly 4,700. So we don't know that we're going off to new highs. We certainly could complete this here. Here's our fib target from the 38, right? From this pull from the 2 to the 4 to the 38. There's the negative 23.6. Happens to be, very close to. If we're going to retrace here, you've got the negative 100% there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to take the wave off just so we can see this a little bit better. And I'm going to take this off just to kind of make the point here. All right, if indeed this is our 3, 4, then what are we expecting? Well, now we're looking for we're assuming this ABC completes the correction of this third wave. Here's our 4 low, and now we're looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulsive structure, which is starting to look more and more like a contender. Now let me change that color and let's take it down a few degrees. That'll work. Okay, if indeed this is 4 lows in, well, we would expect an impulsive move here for the one wave. And now our expectation is if we're going to retrace here, this is our alternate count now starting to look more and more like the likely outcome. If that's our wave 1 high, and we don't know that it is yet, but it's a contender, right? It looks like we're starting to start the beginning of the retracement. Well, our expectation now is that we're going to come down here to somewhere between the 50 and the 618. So that's why I've drawn this little box. And then we have, additionally, we've got the kind of clustering of technical components that we like to look for. So we've got the wave 3 high. That's previous resistance offering support. We've got the wave 1 high. We've got this pivot here. We've got the 618, the 65, the 233. We got a lot of things lining up there to say, hey, that's a very reasonable spot to expect this to retrace for a 2. Now, if that's the case, we look for 2s and 4s. That's a trade you want to seriously consider. Very, very low risk, right? So we know if it's a 2, it can go as deep as the 786. It can go a little deeper, sometimes. But if you were taking it here, if you wanted to give it maximum amount of room, you'd go into the pivot. So, entry here, let's call it 42.70. Your stop's at 41.40. So you got to give that a little bit more room. If you want to be tighter, keep it under the 786. 41.96 and your entry 42.70. So more reasonable there. Really, that's just individual circumstance, account size, risk tolerance. You know the drill. So what I'm trying to show you is you've got a potential candidate here. Now, how would we know? Well, what would make it easier for us and give us more confidence? If we see this breakdown into a 3-wave structure, that would give us confidence that we're now counter trend, right? We trend in 5s, we correct in 3s. So if we get a nice little ABC coming into this little window, either today or over the weekend, that's one to seriously consider as a fresh long. Nice target. So if we look at the fib targets here, so just pulling low to high, coming into the 50, well, first target's the negative 23, which would give us just a smidge beyond this for a new high over the 3. But if it's a third wave, we know that the most likely target, let's say we split the difference here, is between the 1618 and the 175, which puts it the 3 wave up here. Right, so potential. So we got a few targets here. So if it's going here, if it is a third wave, it's at least got to get to 100% of the one wave. That's right here in this purplish color. There's the negative 618, right, from the 50 pull. Then we've got the negative 100% in this little cluster up here. If it's a true third wave, the expectation would be we're going to target up here. So we've also got a little clustering up here. So for a potential third wave. So if you're, again, just it's always about risk reward. Potential target there. If we put our stop under the 786, give it a little room for wicking. 5.8 to 1. That's not bad. That's not bad. Even just if we just to qualify it as a third wave, we've got to at least get to the 100%. That's 3.5 to 1. The larger 38, right, from the wave 2 pull here to the 38, there's the negative 23.6 on that pull. Now we're at 5.16, and the higher targets up here almost 6 to 1. So that is absolutely a contender. Alarm it. I'd want to be notified right here as we're approaching the wave 3 swing high. I'd want to be paying attention to that. Do I want to buy it here? No. Nope. Even though it could rip, my expectation is that we're going to come back down, right? And it would be not unlike Bitcoin to do this over the weekend. We have fewer eyeballs on it. So likely there's a little three wave. We come down and there's entry here with very nice risk reward. So absolutely one to consider. If the alternate count here as we have it plays out, there's a really nice trade there, and then we've got to reconsider the entire thing. We go back over here. Currently we've got this ABC, which technically, and I had an Elliotician remind me in true Elliott nomenclature, this ABC into an ABC, we'd have a W. This would be the X wave. We'd come down to the Y, which is absolutely true. Just connecting two ABCs, right? Just to make it easier to see it and quantify it. So here's the obvious ABC. Here's the one we're trying to get a handle on. So if indeed this is going to continue to go up higher, right? Here's that negative 23, same thing, off of the 38. The low to high. There's that target. So likely target here, right? Lines up nicely with the median line. That's 46.75. So we got some targets, but we can't disqualify this what we had previously considered our primary count. We can't disqualify it until we get a little bit more data. What's causing me to lean and to encourage you to lean to the alternate count is the fact that this moved impulsively rather than just a nice ABC. So one to watch. It's not done yet. This could still go higher, right? We could have an expanded flat, but the caricature, the way that this is moving, the character I should say of this move here is looking more and more impulsive and less corrective. If it's impulsive, then we can reconsider the second or the alternate count, if you will, as we have it over here, because of that structure. So that's where using the Elliott wave can be advantageous, because otherwise we're just pulling 50s. Nothing wrong with that. But this gives us a little bit more nuance as we evaluate how the market's moving and what's the likely next swing. So one to absolutely watch. Let's go over to Ethereum. Not as easy to read, but it's definitely something to watch here. It's been much more difficult because we've had kind of conflicting signals. So here's our larger. This is the 1 hour. So here's the median line that's been containing it, and we had this nice 5-wave impulse. We had this correction here. We thought perhaps we'd get a run here if this was our 2, that we'd go impulsive, and we don't get it, right? This is not unlike what we're seeing in Bitcoin, right? So we get the push to new highs, it fails, but then this comes down in a nice 5-wave sequence. It's not, it's not. You'd like to see the 5th wave get a little bit lower, so we double bottom here, but we get a reaction. So potentially you've got a one wave in here. This is a complex ABC finishing over here. We're at the 38.2 of this swing low to high. So this plays, but you want to see this. Now if this is a good pivot and we're expecting a push towards the highs, or at least the negative 23.6, which happens to align with the 618 and the 6.5 window, if we're looking for that push up here, then our expectation is this starts to move impulsively. Right now, we can't really say that yet. I think we got a 1, we got a 2, maybe a 3. It needs to unfold in a 5-wave sequence so as to not be characterized as corrective, and then because we could have, not to get overly complicated, but we could have a triangle. This could be A, B. This could be our C. We're up for a D. We don't get to a new high here, and then we come back down for E, and we end up with some sort of triangle. It happens. It's not rare, but it just makes it very difficult to trade because you're consistently being faked out. How do you know? Well, you don't get impulsive behavior. So this could very easily be just ABC. If we fail here and we come down and we can look at it on a smaller time frame, you go to the 15-minute and just look at it and say, well, this is my 1, this is my 2. Well, I don't want to see the 1 overlap. Which happens to coincide with this 50 right here. So you can wick that. I don't want to see that overlap. If it does, it could still be a diagonal, but we'd rather see it stay impulsive. Sorry. So one to watch. It looks, if we break here, then good sign. Maybe we've got a little impulsive structure starting, which would give us more confidence in this low that we're starting now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, starting to go towards these upper targets. So not as easy to identify, but certainly one we'll keep watching. We'll go over to Litecoin because I'm at 17 minutes. Now this is equally difficult, but very similar to what we're seeing in Ethereum. We had the impulse. There's our first clue. Right? Could be completing the C wave. Comes down. We possibly could have been a 2. We don't get it. Just like Ethereum, we stall here for a B wave, and the expectation is to finish the C. It's going to finish in a 5-wave sequence. It does that perfectly, and ticks the wave 1 high. So we go right. That's how we drew that little box. Now we're starting to move. Now, how do we know? Well, again, this needs to start to move impulsively. Of course, first thing we got to do is break out of the this. What do I have here? I have a modified shift pitchfork. So we've got to break out of the outside edge. You can consider it a channel. That's got to break. Be nice to break to new highs here and look at this impulsively because we've got a hard target up here of the negative 23.6, which happens to align with the 50% of the entire move. So not as clear cut in terms of alternate counts pushing to new highs. If anything, with Litecoin, we're looking for a push here to get to the 50%, which we never got to. We never got to it from the absolute high to the absolute low. We never made the 50. So this is a likely target. We know algos will be looking for that. So that's a perfect algo target because it meets the profit objective of this 50. This is where we drew it from. It meets that profit target. From this 50, there's the negative 23, so they can take profit and then sell it at the exact same spot. So that's absolutely a spot to watch. First, we got to get there. That's a long way off. We're sitting here at 52, and that's up at 662. So we got $10 move to get to start unfolding impulsively before we have to reevaluate and consider what the likely outcome is there. All right, so that's 19 minutes. I'm going to wrap. There's the 3 majors. I don't like these to be too long, so I'm going to wrap, but I'll come back at you with another video in a few minutes to look at some alts that are showing some interesting developments. Okay, that's it for now.